Ja Ponjamba, Serja Lambo, Dabaraja Baga, Jaja Jabaja Dungaza. Dorjin Janja Delo Naruda, Mabama Jija Gamboba, Mamodava Javanda Gamba, Gajola Mananja Dajoje. Dana Zera Damja da Lama Lava La Jizazon, Lazayan Janzong Alavan, Dindra Donjan Vagela so. Dindra Zava Lama Jaja Gozon, Doja Zanla, Dada Daga Jalan Benda, Daga Dumba, Dazun Jaja Don Jajan Bondra Barajan Jala so. Oh, yeah, that. Mà bom bò sa bờ chú chú năng cái đun bát đấy đặc biệt chú nhị chỉ cơ mà yên bên mà bom xong tan để chỉ tăng cái ngã răng cho tam bộ ngã răng cho đun pa hiện đun vật dụng đấy nè đã là đang vào sẽ bờ ra xong thế nên nó bắt sẽ bờ gig做些把个做那的讲人家讲究个什么个等于现代用个有了吧这的嘞，等于样大上让做没拉来把个送吧嘞，大可能个难度的我的去把呢大牛嘛。现在这把一些làm难的，但呢去年去跟那老了，但呢看个老，但那讲的多，但呢当然等那个但呢吃完他们去但呢让事些，但呢吃完他们去让事些的，但呢到了奴家当奴役这但是努巴啥个大大个当，但是努巴是被占着我跟着我这，俺蛮通送的没拉来不空个，但他就通嘛送的话，他得了说把那上了当的，刚到担保讲究什么呢？讲清楚呢，送的，但呢，俺让做这个希望的。파빵 자체 당 드네 도르자체 차크메 바레
So now of the things to not abandon, we are on the 7th, and this one says that the enemies and obstructors are exhortation of the dharmata, so they must not be abandoned. This word in Tibetan, which is translated as exhortation, kuma, is also it's like something that inspires or a sort of a stimulus, or so you could say, since they are like the stimulus of dharmata, they sort of encourage dharmata, they must not be abandoned. And so generally speaking, we are familiar with the prayer that we open all of our daily prayers open with the prayer that says, all mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me and obstructors who harm me. And so this is putting special importance or giving priority to those enemies and obstructors. And so likewise, as Milarepa said, and sort of the meaning, just saying the meaning of what he said, having realized or through training in the recognition of the natural state, or dharmata, the co-emergent primordial wisdom, which is the natural mode of abiding, then all delusion is pacified, having been pacified in its own place. I do not see any existence of, or there's no self attributed to those who do harm, and the harm that is caused, nor the one who experiences or receives that harm. And so, therefore, also, when it comes to generating love and compassion and bodhicitta, then with regard to enemies and obstructors, then they really become like the best sort of inspiration, or the best means for generating really complete love and compassion and really authentic bodhicitta. And so therefore, they are not to be abandoned.
Hedang Ranzu Rang Chado Yobari Madoke, Jas in the Pakala Dodo, which young Mari Kainsina Huma Sosok Tropo in Batata Dracha Andu Teni Taring Tropo in Bagan Dushit Landu, taken Dushi and Zewa the Landu, Tatara Jain, Sanake, Hedanke, Hedang de Ya. 见对你地上种了我就怕下的话咱们人马多抓着怕干了多多就有嘛的事等那人讲我让做个这吃多都用呢抓些把的说说让个sem个南东人了个往的主要把这马多个有可能就我了抓就有嘛的有可能就我了抓就有呢 Huma Drayan Batata Dropo Chandwandwa. Ben a loca hang Tumbo Miba Drata Chadewa, the young loca hegini, Tropo Chayandwa. They young Shigmarewa. Garci Dra, she bought the pocket, you're doing a dodo Juna. Some similar rallies, some Susoka Senke, Zindangaton rallies by Inzan. That Dra she bought the Hedanga Ranzukzam, in but the Hakosomaina. Tene your ransin to trapaje solola das in me pares.
So what we refer to as an enemy is really just the embodiment of anger. It is actually giving form to our own anger, and it's sort of externally manifesting and giving some form to one's own internal anger. There isn't actually some solid thing that we can permanently identify as enemy that is externally existent. And the reason that we can know this is because in many cases, the person that we now attribute to like a nature of enemy to, or the person that we now identify as an enemy, in many cases has actually been a friend in the past. So they were a friend, but then they become an enemy. And so that friend, where we used to have the perception of friend and where there used to be love, that has been lost, or that has changed. And now we project our anger onto some outer form. We give an outer form to our anger, and we call that an enemy. But actually, there's no solid thing, a solid identifiable thing called enemy that is out there. really, it's a matter of it's how our mind is grasping a particular thoughts. It really is designated through the perception of our own mind. But from the actually the external thing that we are identifying as an enemy is actually very fluid. So before, it's also often the case that that maybe now somebody who, or in the past somebody that we have identified as an enemy, then actually that changes and that person becomes identified as a friend. So it can be that in the past is someone who we saw in one way with a negative perception ends up changing, and we see them as a friend. We see them through a different perspective. And so therefore, there's no real entityness to the enemy that we have identified as such. And so this wouldn't be the case. They wouldn't be able to change into a friend, or a friend wouldn't be able to change into the enemy if from their side there was real entityness to the designation of enemy, or to their eneminess. And it all really comes down to how the mind is perceiving, the way the mind is choosing to perceive or project upon phenomena. And so in that way, we can say that that which we call an enemy is really just a projection of our own anger, or it's giving an outer form to our anger. And so really, there isn't any real substance there with regard to the object itself. So there actually isn't. There aren't really any enemies.
Tani lejim de gawang de chepa ina. Tani jewa ngama soso ge dra ba de. Tani tata soso ge bug cha de yo ba tanda yongre. Tanda yin zang za pa ke lengi drawo pang de zong song. Jewa ngama le dukja sa ya bajun sin le tene. Tani tata jewa ngama soso ge dra cha da ba de. Tata soso ge ji zhong jia ge bu chu ge cha de yorwa. Tanda yin zang tani tata yang bu nga he ke pa ma la pe ka le mang bo zo ne tanda chi do pe na lob jong jang ro mi ji tani jak pa ta ko ma la su ba ke chi nang ban ro ji la tanda chu pa ngin ba ji shu tani pa ma pe sem ra da ka nga dong ha mang bo nang ke yo re wa ta de chong ne be na ta na sem ra dong ha to zo hira ma nang na ya bo yo re 만나는 야보 요바데 가인스나 소소게 삼노 동당지리 다 블롱린 차담제 장로그 요리 삼바이나 제당 아랑 따라 몰라 자그 요리 가서 따반 농그 요라 블롱린 차 코저지 존나 다 몰라 자그 요리 된 코저지 조 초랑 졸라티 블롱린 차 코저 몰라 자그 요말 소소소소라 다 블롱린 차드 좀 컬런 소소를 저 렘네 더 소파 장르효 미르효 상야 그때나 그물라 자그 요로와 때나 인장 다제 자워스는 슈게 짐바젠도 사게 때나제 미바레 레줌데 고한테 제바이나야 마마 자워 임바 다다 소수 투그 차데바 때나 차도 그 요바레 제도 자워 임바 제메 조보 차데바 요르 때서 차마 tardono soso ke ngene hedang ka ranzo hedang ke le che revan dawo che ke ta tena ondo ko yoba insa tene dawo sin panggo ya no ta ta ji de par ta tu tong go ya no che mari sum re
So also it is the case that individuals appear to us as enemies or harm doers, that in that situation can also change based on karma cause and effect. So for instance, it could be the case that in past life, there was somebody who was a hated enemy, and then in this life becomes our own child. So often that can be the case. As Padre Rinpoche said, it retells in a story, he says she coddles her own enemy on her lap. And so this is reference to a situation in which there was somebody who was the mother's enemy in the past, in their past life, and now they have taken birth as her own child, and she's completely unaware of this fact. And this is often can be the case. Many times children can be born into families based on some sort of karmic debt, to some sort of a very strong kind of karmic situation in former lives. And sometimes it's the case that they really cause a lot of hardship and angst to their parents. They don't study, they do bad things. Sometimes they even steal and maybe become thieves, and they, and on many different ways, maybe they really cause their parents a lot of angst and worry. And they give a lot of difficulty to their parents. But if that is the case, it's important for the parents, it's not to worry so much. It's much better to not have too much angst or worry about this, and instead to just see it as repaying karmic debts, to think of it as purifying some kind of past negative karmic connection. And so just as we say in some aspiration prayers, may all my karmic debts and creditors from former lives be repaid, or be, in other words, purified. And so this is then understanding from the perspective of karma cause and effect. So it can very often be the case that somebody who was an enemy in the past now is a loved one or a dear friend or even our own child. And so this is also the result of anger. It's the ripening fruition of karma that was created through anger in former lives. And so here, and again, it presents opportunity. And so here the instruction is not to reject so-called enemies and obstructors, but
yang chang zo de tanga ta pu de jiang ma zha yin zai tena hin za ta nge pu de duk ja hyu ji zo gon do tena ma sam tena sam sun teni de sam no no ro yo ba ro chu ji dang chu ji ba le jiang ji dang qi ju de gar qin ba ro tena yin zang
kan de
chu drupa we cha drupsar zo sung do nyamni ji je de da ji dang de ni ji dang de zo che de yo re yang jo ge de bu de zo nga jie wa nga ma ge zha yin de jin tin da da yang bu de so chuang ge hu duk jia dang wa yin na jin xin gan se de chuang da chu na ni hie do bu de zo jie wa nga ma nga zha yin sa re sam ro wa de ni da chuang ge de zha ni de zin de ni duk jia hu dang wa yin na de nor jim xin gan se na yang bu de jie wa sima le yang chuang ge bang le yang jia jie yong ge ro wa yang gang a de yong ge ro wa de yin zang da ra ni da so so la bu de so so la gang an ram de de na jie yong na yang da bu long lin cha tam je jang ro hyo sam de ni nga rang zam ma yin ba ge nga da wo ge da chu gen de da ge dong la gang an yang kin cha ma ge dong a tam je tab jig de chap jig de jang ro hyo da da sam no tang da ji to ba yin na Tene lalin subdu manano sumba tardu tene nuji tamche sosola nobar siba tamche tene rimboche ter na yin da ta ngarang zo rimboche ter ji ragwa yin o ta za chimborwa jo chimborwa ti na yin nuji dan che yong ba gap so tene rimboche ter na yin ni ba na yin ke samno ta ne o ta soso ke zuba gom nin je je o tel soba ke tene hirab glam ne tene 다 탑람 띠네 되니 돈이 되니 로파자야다 드라 가르침보 차대요.
So when you hear that, it isn't to say you shouldn't think like, oh, he's saying that, my child is an enemy from a former life. And so like to think, oh, that's really terrible, or even to think like, then to sort of regard one's child is with that kind of a mind of aversion, thinking, oh, this is my enemy from a former life. So it isn't to respond in that way, but instead to, so there's the Dharma, the way in which, the content of the Dharma, between the content of the Dharma, or the sort of the teachings, and then the way that the Dharma is put into practice, the way that the Dharma is put into practice is what is most important. So if your child is giving you a lot of real difficulty and really providing a lot of challenges for you, instead of, don't think, you don't instead of, you shouldn't think, like really regard them as bad or sort of solidify some view of them as an enemy from a former life, because in that will just lead to like the same dynamic repeating itself, and then the child will be reborn to you again, and you'll have to go through the same difficulties and hardships with the same individual in whatever type of relationship that manifests in the future, so it doesn't exhaust that karma. It doesn't end up purifying the karma. So instead, if it is the case that your child really gives you a lot of difficulty and hardship, to reflect, thinking, oh, this is, karmic debts from former lives. May my karmic debts be purified. May whatever the karma that is here, that is playing itself out, may it be exhausted. May it be purified. And then the way to do that is through patience and love and compassion. And so as it says in the 37 Bodhisattva practices, all those who do harm are like a precious treasure. And so if we were to get a hold of a precious treasure, we would regard this as something, so extraordinary, so precious indeed. And so that kind of attitude is actually the attitude that we can that we can hold towards those harm doers, or towards those individuals who are creating particularly great challenges to us in this life, who are particularly difficult for us. And when we, use that situation in such a way as to cultivate patience, to meditate on patience, to generate compassion, and together with, the presence of wisdom, to do what we can, to help the individual, or to lead them into, positive, to guide them in a positive way. This is really important.
Then Jatang ke ngaran solo ta pu chi che de yang jawa nga ma ga dra yin bengi ba yo marwa perna sanje ta changchu sun be zhuba tam je yang tara so so ko pa na je ke yo barwa de tam je jawa nga ma ga so so dra che cha yo mare de yang chama
Wait, Gande Sanje Dang Jangsin Karela?
Sanje da jancho sun be zhubu ke tam je yang tara so so ko pa na je ke yo ro ya Sanje da jancho sun be zhubu ke tam je ke ama yorobati ama te pu chama jewa ngama dra marewa sanje da jangju sun bu zhubu ge te zayang malare bak suma na yiri ndan la norsa mang si che pa ta nan rawo pa ta dun rawo la norsa mang bo yore te norni ma se yang chama ji pa re sa so so pang na ji bu ge chama jewa ngama ge dra re sam de na te tata maris kains na pu khaye sanje da jangju sun ba zhubu ge cha de yorwa
Gongta milare pasung de yapoko masong. Pa dang norsa.
rawo yin jikpa ri da tin non do sa yorisi pena chema yo
So pa
rawo ni wu na jik ri tin pena ngaro zo chema twins chema zo pa da den rawo hyu de ngaro jikpa ri tin chema jik danang thong jik su ron thong gong dan thong ai na ngaro zo ma jik ri tin de ra ngom de ma ni ra kon rawo yin bi jin sin ke jik thor sa na yong si ba re de nor ni ma re song do
Gongta ta tung de dun da shira ko me.
Danda la nor sa mang pa ta dun rawo yin ba la yang non do sa mang bo yo re chu ge chema ji yo wa je te pe de nge la ko yo me se pe de mala re ba su ko yo mar da mala re ba kan danda la nor sa mang su nya te mala re ba song ro wa
Te pa sena pawa apa.
te pa kar song sa
Te pa dang norsa dawo.
pa la des ko
Pa la ge mare.
rawo yin ba la de ni nor sa mang bo yo re pe na ngaran men chema ni yo re de ni jek de hyo ban thong re jek de gong dan thong re pe na nga ra la de nge danang tu me de gong da thong do ya ge me de ni me jek ri ding ge re de nga nor su ne ma do ge me kha kha re ko ro ni hyu ra wo yo ro de ge de nge me jek ba re de so
So so it isn't to say that, anytime it doesn't, one shouldn't just make the assumption that everybody in one's family is, are reincarnations of past enemies. It isn't the case that it's always like this. It isn't always that one is in situations of closeness or in family with karmic creditors from former lives. In fact, in many, like in some cases, there are beings who take a birth or who emanate who are in fact bodhisattvas or emanations of Buddhas. So even the great Nirmanakaya emanations take birth, through the vessel of a womb. So clearly, in a situation like that, then the Buddha or Bodhisattva who has taken birth is not an enemy, and necessarily an enemy from former lives. And so, as Milarepa said, there are many things that are similar get easily confused. It's easy to confuse things that are similar. So, for instance, if in the case of, say, twins, if I see a twin, there are two twins, and I see one of them in the morning, and then I see one of them in the evening, I might think that they are the same person, that it's one person that I've seen, but actually they are different. But because they appear similar, then I mistake them as the same person. And so there are many ways to confuse that which appears similar. And so, Lasso.
Oh yeah. Teni ta jepa te shugla chong na ngudrup yinpe mapang song. Ta shugla chong na ngudrup yinpe mapang jo te karir sina. Ta ngarang zo jopan jo top kwa sa tam nhin ra dada tamje teni ranjin ke chungwa ina teni te jiwa nga ma susu ke suna ya bo sa ya bala teni chungko yo ba yin zang yang ngarang so ke hyu chokshin rawo ji teni panggo ya te chak yo ma re song re ta ngarang so ke che gu yong ba dang cho yong ba dang yo jo ke lang yong ba ta te ta bo ke teni yina 다 तसो 추그 토니 레전드 토니 드케미 바 인상 방월샤와 이나양 다 란yin 그 종화 탐지 되니 양고 순한 거 덥지 송아 인바 인상 방고 요 말이소
So then the ninth, no, the eighth says, it is a boon to achieve spontaneity, so it must not be abandoned. And actually, I looked at this in the Tibetan, and actually the word that is translated here as boon is actually siddhi, siddhi or attainment. So the way I would word it is, if there is automatic spontaneity, it is siddhi, so it shouldn't be abandoned. And so the meaning here is, for instance, if there are things that just naturally come in this, just naturally and spontaneously arise, such as wealth and abundance, power and position, praise and or fame and renown. If these things just spontaneously arise of their own accord automatically, then they are the ripening of merit. They are the ripening of merit from former lives, and so therefore they need not be rejected or abandoned. One doesn't need to think, oh, as a Dharma practitioner, I am practicing simplicity and being content with little, and so therefore one rejects those things. So that isn't that is not actually the way that one should relate if these things are arising spontaneously. On the other hand, if one out of grasping is trying to achieve such things and through deception and manipulation and great striving and so forth, then because this is contrary to the Dharma, because this is actually not proper conduct in the context of karma, cause, and effect, then those things should be abandoned. But when they just spontaneously arise, or they are kind of an automatic, they arise with automatic spontaneity, then it is to be regarded as a natural attainments or the ripening of fortunate or positive karma or merit.
단데 칠당 게 초마사 발라 무르 요마리시 베카레 야요레 휴바이나 제마요와 제마제나 마르먼종아 인도 송리 데나 인상코 란인게 중화 탐제 데니 소소 수남게 톱지 임베나 데니 랑라테타 수남게 데베 요발라양 비주 야포당 야 컨트롤은 추바 마르긴 손나 짐바 데니 소소게 ngene je 신차 단진바 침보 메부토니 롱주지데 베 가침보리 데니 yinla tetawa ran koran sola ngangang hyuk jungwake tetawa yubayina te tamchela teni jis yarangta gawa gomjo tatso garchimbo chada yuri
So Since it is the case that if the accumulations are not gathered, if there's no gathering of the accumulations, then there are no cities or no attainments, and it becomes like squeezing sand trying to get oil. If one squeezes a sand, no matter how much one squeezes, no oil is produced. And so the natural result of merit are the spontaneous issuing forth of favorable conditions. So if it is the case that one's merit is ripening in abundance in that way, then it is important to make a good use of those circumstances. So for instance, one uses that abundance to make offerings to the three jewels, or to offer up to exalted objects, and to practice generosity down to sentient beings or those in need. This is really important, to use the stream of one's merit, ripening merit, wisely in such a way that it generates even further further accumulation of merit. And then if one witnesses such a sort of natural ripening of merit on the part of someone else, if someone else seems to have this abundant ripening of merit or these types of cities, then it is important to rejoice, to have a mind of a real kind of rejoicing, or really feeling happy for that person, seeing it with a pure and in a pure way. This is really important.
Dor du yongna yupa mapang mepa munchol ta tin do.
So in brief, it can all be sort of subsumed into just two lines, which say, don't reject whatever is, and don't search or seek whatever isn't.
Tene da gobate tablam kangyang hirap lamte impe mapang song. Na tablam de la ta tablam mambo yore pena che sangha rang ton nyamli che ba yina nyamli ge ton shu ba yina ko jawe ju ge ton ni tablam mambo ju bu ju ge ju ne tablam mambo namje lami ge ju la so ba la ta tablam mambo yoro ba tene ta de tam che lang wo ma de lam koma ya karesho gore te druzi ke tablam tab cha de yo ba yin zang tene pang yin ge ma re song re tene te ma yin ba ge ta ngarang chu per na ji sotar nyam slim ba kap so tene jie ba tang ran yin jie kana ma to song chuge la da dikpa rawa dikpa kan dar kana ma to so den du
Gande? Sota kare?
ta te dara sanje ke song yale o te chen churan dikpa re da song ya ba jek tang tene yang churan mixa ke te chen dikpa re ma song ba ke ko jik tang ke dikpa yim na yang tana la che ye wan da wo ji chen thong chong da wo jong ma song ba tene 장초 선배 냠리 나한테 소탈라 통총 제마 야바 tene sanga 냠슬린 tene 다 소탈 단단 속 domba oma tamjela yang 통총 제마 야바 때 답토네 냠리 찍더 turne 냠리 난고드 탑람 참아데 tene 저거 탑람 고마데 야 곰펀로야게 다 마이 차도 요래 대인장 탈라 오마 도솔라 통총의 니주 지야요 말이소.
So then the ninth is path and method are always supportive are always a support to proceed on the path of wisdom. So they must not be abandoned. And so there, with regard to this mention of, path and method, or it really could also be read as, maybe the paths and methods is what is meant here, or the path of methods. There are many methods and paths, and for instance, in the context of secret mantra, there are, for instance, the different levels of conduct, or the different sort of ways of observing the methods, or different methods that vary with regard to the 4 levels of Tantra. So in Kriya Tantra, there is a certain level or set of methods and conduct that is observed, and in Charya, another sort of conduct and so forth, Charya Tantra, or Action Tantra, and then Yoga Tantra and Anuttara Yoga Tantra. They all have their particular sort of methods and path of method that is observed, but each of the former supports and kind of bleeds over into or each of the into the latter, and so it serves as a means to and so none of to enrich the experience, the practice in such a way so that it grows and develops higher and higher. But each of the lower levels of method are not to be abandoned once one has reached, sort of the next level or a higher level. So it is with the 3 levels of vows. So for instance, in the context of the vows of individual liberation, where there are specific there's a specific modes of conduct which are designated by the Buddha with regard to what to adopt and what to discard, and these might change, for instance, as one moves into the practice of the level of vows, or the conduct that corresponds with the vows of bodhicitta. But at the time, or in the context of the path of conduct that corresponds with the vows of bodhicitta, there is never dismissal, or one never looks down on the vows or the conduct that is specific to the vows of individual liberation. In fact, it is still observed. It is still often a great support to what is cultivated on the path through holding the vows of bodhicitta, and likewise in the context of the vows of secret mantra. So each level makes use of the paths and methods that are particular to the level that precedes it. And so it is actually all aspects of the methods and paths in each of the progressive levels are actually brought together into one and practiced as a unity. And so in this way, then the paths and methods support one another as one proceeds on the path.
Tene pen ta ngarang zo la zumba yina tu sang gomson la jar na je khuba yina tene ta tuba je tene tuba ja chimbo nang cha de la samba je samba te tene samdung nimbo de gomne nyamsulin jorwa te ta tu sang gomson ya madarba te karchimbori de tene yang ka go so ngarang zo tuba la hin chen du tene samba da gomba la nami ji atang yang sosok je gomba la so banyamni je ba la ten tuba da samba la tene tongchong jin ro ya da te mambo yong khu yo re te na jong so ai na Teni soso ke hirap charbu jani dan jonro ko yore. Teni tenda inza ko
Shirap
hirap nyamdo wa hirap da hirap chong
nyamdo ikiju.
Tenda inza ko tusang gomso ya madarwa goji de karchimborewa.
And so it is the case with the three activities of study, contemplation, and meditation. So as one progresses on the path, it is through engaging in extensive study or hearing that then as one's study expands or becomes more and more vast, then this is sort of supports or leads into one's experience of contemplating or the stage of contemplation. And likewise, the deeper that one's development of contemplation, this then really assists the meditation. And so actually study, contemplation, and meditation should all be practiced together. They're not actually separate from one another, but they are sort of crucial aspects within sort of the same thing. And so it's really important to understand the three stages as such. And so the greater that one's respect for and observance of study and contemplation, then likewise the deeper and more developed becomes one's meditation will be. But sometimes it can be the case that, for instance, if one focuses on one as opposed to the other, then one discounts the necessity of the other. So those who really have put an emphasis on study might somewhat disparage, for instance, meditation, and those who put an emphasis on meditation might disparage study. But if that is the case, if the approach is as such, then that becomes the cause for one's wisdom to diminish. And so it is very important that actually these are understood and practiced as kind of as not being separate from one another.
Je zonka ba ke sungba rawa tambo jachin tupa mang de za song teni ti odo yunglok tanje dambar shar song teni ti odo tama nimsin kun de nyamsa lang song do ti na yin ke tupe ngomba mi ba tupa la chohi mi ba tupa timu mun ser drume so ma na yi tupa la yongdin samji ma cha ba yo zang so so le towa ji tupa timu mun ser drume mun ba se ji drume na yin cha de yo re si ma re bu mun ba se ji de yin zang teni ngarang zu tupa si je de pe kar chenpo cha de yore teni tu ne da ji tupa de ke dudung ra wo de driver ra wo de teni yonglok tam je dangwa la char to go yore yonglok dangwa la char hi ba de to zo lo on du da pe ne pe cha to zo lo on du teni so so semto lo char jan lo go yore ma to ke ka parkour de teni de lo de ba yina teni te ke so so ke simju den dor ma ta ba yin zang teni so so ke char ka nang de kor de o nyumong hedang la chung kare lam do teni so so la chung den do e do na teni na hedang de pas mi pa zo ya la tablang kare tin do o tena yi cha do so so la cha do ndo e cha do hi ba de chetang ke lo pe nyumong ba nang ke lo chawa ke rang yin ji ri lamsang ha ko to ka le kha bo yor so su tap je tang nan sam sang ne da ne cha do do mo do tap je tang go ma do he dang do cha ta bo ke lo rak pa ma yin zang le la bo ha ko to ya ji ma re 이내 않고 신앙 차보지 차도 요리 차도 시도 되나 인장 소소소소라 답제 땅 로 답제 땅의 차도도 엔도나 다 다시 투바제 야바데 비주 땅의 다 차도도 마 효르가 총르가 나 땅도 탈람도서 양서 조바 요바제 디강도 되니 닌치 kunla tene ta tara nyamlin yorgolri sondo ta te ta ben tablang gain jang je sosoke sanji chomdin de ke chupong je chi yedong song a de nyumong je chi yedong de ya table gon song ya bare ma to ke sanji de ga za nima ma chu ne ba injin na champas che la ro te na yin chen je de ba ma ro a 산지 그 추풍 예트 예동 르 책르라 칭르 타데 동직장 책은르 돈다 지바 인의 양 다른 칭르 만다 송고 와텔 구파 짐치 삼지 마차바요 바레 응네 자네 테나엔드 ngaran zu tanda be ne tani kale ta ko yunglok pe cha dang sanje ge gan do ju du lo ba na sanje la hin de ba ta ba su hon do ngene da ne ran yin ge tanda yong ya ge yun tin yo re tani ngaran zu la te ge tara pusom so ba ge dam jer job je cham mil ha go dong do ji ge hirap chap chang yo zang ta thola chama song wa garchim bori 다 ngaran ro churang zu la pa la ko yo re de ngaran zu chama ge tanda ting go ya de garchim boris
So Jason Kabagi the Dambo ja tupa ja jimbo che tene de shunglu kare shunglu
danga la khar danga sin lab jan ra wala lab ja ling wi ne ling go ra yung te ha yung pe cha yo ra pe cha ka ta tin ju yo ro wa de tam ju su su danga mai nga ra wa ta
yeah damga hakosong yena yang ti lungten di tata ko yo mare kongta
ga
ti yang char ting ma chik sum
tani
lungten ga ti yena kapo
dambo jachin tupa mang to zals tani pardu wa yunglok thamje yunglok thamje yunglok zu de ka tin ju chama wa dambar shares dambar danga la ha ko gol songra thama nimchin kun de nyamslangs
맞아
tini kunjang timba ji chi do ngo song do ta te
kunjang
che pe ma se ka lab chimbo
okay So as Jade Tsongkhapa says, at first, one should seek or one should really engage in really extensive study. One should seek out extensive study as much as one can. And in the middle, one should take the instructions in the scriptures to heart, or one should the scriptures should appear to one as pith instructions or direct instructions. And in the end, or finally, one should practice at all times, day and night. So really the instruction is that at first study is so crucial, and the attitude toward study is that one should feel like one's desire to learn more is insatiable, that one is never satisfied or content with the amount that one has learned, that one should always be seeking more knowledge. One should feel really inspired to learn as much as one can through study, through reading and hearing teachings. And as it is said, the study or hearing is the lamp that clears away the darkness of ignorance. And so as that is the case, then it's so important to really engage in really quite extensive study or listening, to really seek out as much Dharma knowledge and develop as much Dharma knowledge as one can. And this is very important. And then when through hearing, the fruition of hearing or study, is that then one's understanding of the scriptures and reading the scriptures, or the Buddha's sutras and their commentaries and so forth, is that one is really able to receive it as direct and instruction, really applicable and direct pith instruction that one internalizes in such a way that it actually is experientially understood. So that then one's mind is turning inward and actually applying the teachings to one's direct experience. So for instance, one is with regard to the antidotes, applying the antidotes to the afflictive emotions and recognizing the faults of the afflictive emotions, one's mind turns inward and one says, oh, what are the faults of the afflictive emotions? What are the afflictive emotions present in my mind stream? Are there afflictive emotions present in my mind stream? And one is able to really recognize and to apply the teachings accordingly. Is there the presence of jealousy in my mind stream? So one is able to really examine. And for instance, in the case of jealousy, jealousy is actually a relatively sort of subtle obscuration, or a more subtle affliction. It's not as coarse or as obvious as the afflictions of anger and desire. And so sometimes it is more difficult to recognize. And as that is the case, so if one is really contemplating and the mind is turning inward, then one can identify that sort of subtle jealousy, which maybe had gone unrecognized prior to that. And seeing that it is present, one is able to apply the antidote and cause it to diminish or lessen. And so then eventually, as one's contemplation grows and develops in this way, eventually one is at this stage where one's Dharma practice is just an ongoing, unbroken continuity, so that one is really practicing day and night. And so in this way, all of the different stages of practice, all of the methods and paths taught by the Buddha are all useful and applicable. As the Buddha taught all the 84,000 categories of instruction or teaching as the direct antidotes to the 84,000 different variations of afflictive emotions. And so the vast extent of Dharma teaching, or the vast extent of what he taught, was not just sort of for the sake of it. It isn't just a meaningless prattle, or him. It didn't come from, it's not just the Buddha trying to deceive people, but it's actually, all of it is incredibly useful instruction for every individual. In fact, even just a single line of the Buddha's teachings, even just a single syllable, in fact, is packed with meaning. And so even just to unpack the meaning of a simple single syllable is inconceivable often in its, what the meaning that is held there in that single syllable. And so really all of the different categories of scripture, all of the stages of practice are crucial to and also support one another. So they are to be practiced as an entirety, or as a sort of together, as not inseparably. And so as one's knowledge of the scriptures deepens, or if the more that one studies, then the more naturally one's faith just develops naturally. So one's faith naturally grows as directly corresponding to the extent of one's study or hearing. And then one really comes to the point where the understanding of just how profound this precious human birth is, with leisures and endowments, is really deeply understood on a very deep level. And so through wisdom, and this is a result of one's wisdom growing as a result of study, or as a result of vast study, and then one is absolutely determined not to let this precious opportunity, this precious human birth, go to waste.
Oh yeah. That the Tusangum Sante, Tambo, Lobjong, the Low Mambo, Teniti Jin and Samro Jirundo, the other son of Madamachi, Kotambo two young book of Susoga Sam no Tang. Teniti Jin, that's the quote Susoga Lani, Tartanachi, Tusangum so Yamadabachad, Yorua, take Archer Matoyan. Ko lo chupta ne chupta mambo gofya jab dewa na tin ngarang chu che la ya te ka che yu ha ko maro te na insa nyamni ya ma da nanguris.
That's all. So this isn't to say that one should think of it like one doesn't need to think of it as, first one has to study for many, many years and then engage in many years of study and then contemplation. And then later on, after that, one can stay in retreat, or one can do retreat. So it's not like that. But actually, yes, it's important in the beginning to engage in extensive study and listening. But actually, one can, and as one progresses, then these three stages should be practiced together, or kind of in conjunction with one another. They're actually practiced all together. And so if we think about it as a sort of sequential separate stages, we have no idea how long we will live. And there's no guarantee that we will live necessarily a long time. And so in that case, there's no point in really, or it's not advisable to put it off. Instead, they can all be practiced together and compatibly with one another.
Oh, thank you. May every being aligned with disease be freed at once from every malady. May all the sickness that afflicts the living be instantly and permanently healed. O sunandaya damja zibanye tovanye bedana bonze Jaga nanja balon roba ye ziban zolen roba jo simjene ba chenye ba nyerde nele tarje robe nena mala ba taden yo me ba jo chanjo simjo rambo je ma je ba nan je je Jiba nyamba meba yo gonda bewa yo. Thank you very much.